Hello everyone to the Grim Down League. This is another build of mine around one of the new items for Season 7. The item's called Ragarroth's Entropy. This is a fully convert Primal Spirit to Chaos Pet. And I decided to play this as Ritualists. Usually, probably Conjurer is gonna be better. But Conjurer is so extremely boring, and I found Necro and Skeletons much more fun. On top of that, I can cast Bone Harvest, so I feel some really active gameplay instead of just be a walking simulator, which I don't like. First of all, let's check the gear. Usually the idea between this setup is to make Primal Spirit a permanent pet, and I achieve it. So Primal Spirit stays on the field for 32-35 seconds, and the cooldown is just 30. So every 30 seconds I can resummon it, and I have it permanently. This is the main feature of this build. Of course, most important thing is the medal. I rolled of the wild. Prefix doesn't really matter, honestly. I just roll some generic pet prefix. But of the wild's gonna boost my Briarthorn. We run 3 different pets setup. We run Skeletons and Primal Spirit and Briarthorn, and we run a lot of physical resistance thanks to Briarthorn. This is not the actual one, they are around 32, I think, when we are engaged in battle. We have 9 skeletons, fully convert to chaos, thanks to the items that I put. So all the vitalities convert, all the physical and all the elemental. Necrolord Gaze, this is a craftable. It's not drop in the world, you need the blueprint. Extremely essential item for this build to work properly, because this gives me a -5 seconds to Primal Spirit and another 4 for it to be on the field. Very, very essential item. Another very important thing is Eldritch Mirror. This is at the moment is best in slot for your helm and your torso, because with the changes in pets and their total speed bonuses and stuff, Eldritch Mirror becomes a best in slot component on a pet setups, so keep that in mind. Weapon, not much of options here. I go for Claw of Ragarroth. This is a Barrel Home craftable, so you have to be at least on one of your characters friendly with Barrel Home to afford the blueprint. Not very expensive craft for endgame build, but basically not much of options here. This comes with total damage, life and crit damage, everything that I'm looking for in a weapon. The only downside is you have to roll exactly the corruption that I roll. This is reduced target resistances, the flat option, because build don't run any flat resistance shred before this corruption. And honestly, this is the only corruption this build needs. The rest of my slots are left without, and I'm totally fine. I farm endgame content without any problems. Best in slot torso armor. This is Paint Master Raiment. Basically aura for all pets, bonus to all pets, 4 to ground slam, 4 to reap spirit. I don't use reap spirit. I try several different setups, maybe 4 or 5 in terms of skill tree and pet usage. The current one is the most effective one, I would say. Pants, Runebrand Leg Warps. This is Mogdrogan Pact, another all damage, offensive ability, bunch of resistances. Again, best in slot. I don't think there is a better pants for this build. Beastmeal Domination. This is basically the only Chaos Pets type of relic. Best in slot again. Comes with flat Chaos damage, 300 to all damage, 25 total speed. And I roll completion bonus vitality resistance, but probably I'm gonna change this for because I have 72 overcap. I'm gonna hunt for a different competition bonus. Belt, Shadow Fiend Court, usually life, percent life, and resistances that I'm looking for. Also, again, bunch of resistances to the pet. And offensive ability, total damage, I would say best in slot again. No better option. I roll right bound. Basically I container this, but I do a mistake. Probably of the wild is gonna be better because I need 2 extra points, 3 extra points actually to max out Briarthorn. But still better than nothing. Meadow is very essential as well. This is Kalian Crest. Basically all the bonuses that I need to Primal Spirit. And another 6 seconds on top, so can stay longer. Boots, Deathwalker's Grace. Basically this gives a nice damage absorption to several stuff. Also a lot of health, defensive ability, slow resistances to pets. There is a couple of options here, but still I think this is the best necro based boots for this setup. Gloves, I run Touch of Ever Living Growth, basically for the Heart of the Wild, all skin and all tons of life and defensive ability, pierce resistance. Best in slot, you can use Overlord's Grip, not a bad option, pretty offensive one, but current setup and playing as a Ritualist, this is kinda hard to keep your pets alive, so I decide to go for these gloves instead of the offensive ones. You can test by yourself. Shoulder Guard, Fiend Flesh Mantle, best in slot in my opinion, comes with Spectral Binding, a lot of life for me, a lot of rare resistances for me and my pets, attack speed and health. Also 12k damage absorption. When I got hit, this stays on me all the time. My character itself is very durable. As you can see, I run high life pool. This is without any pharma. I run a lot of overcaps as well on the resistances. So basically my character is unkillable. I have to stop or do something very stupid to die. Also, I don't have any way to grab the aggro. Instead of, I don't deal so much damage because my offensive ability is pretty low on a reason. I don't want to get critical strikes and stuff. That's gonna take the aggro of me, of my pets. So best in slot offhand, Pin Gaze Tome. This comes with chaos damage to Reap Spirit. I try to play around them. It's not worth it. I can get a better skill cooldown reduction definitely, but I leave it like this because I finally roll 100 elemental and 100 physical to chaos. So I prioritize this instead of the cooldown reduction. Unfortunately rolls pretty low, but is what it is. Rings, double Void Whisper Band. There is no brain. This converts all the vitality to chaos. A lot of other stats like array skeletons and stuff. All the stuff that I use. So this is the gear. Pretty cheap build in my opinion. The only corruption that you need is the weapon. You can totally leave the others without spending any corruptions at all. Build's gonna perform and farm pretty well. Unfortunately, it's not boss killer. Pets are not tanky enough. If you look for a boss killer, better you change few items and play this as a Conjurer. Conjurer can keep the pets alive very well, but this one is kinda struggle at this window. But I prioritize the fun, and honestly, Ritualist is the most fun of all the summoning classes. It just feels you play the game, not walking simulator, which is kinda boring for me, but this is my personal opinion. I don't want to force this to anybody. Skills, Shaman 3 is pretty obvious. 1 point Mogdrogan Pact. And the rest, Heart of the Wild, Oak Skin, max out for the defensive purposes. This is gonna be quite nice. Comes with flat damage and stuff, but not so much points to spare. Max out the whole Briarthorn tree. This is a very important pet. All the physical damage convert. There is no way to convert the bleeding, so it stays like this. But Emboldering Presence is a very nice buff. This ups my physical resistance, offensive ability to the pets and everything. We run Primal Bond. There is nothing to explain here. This makes me much more durable. Instead of, and I don't want to Master of Death, for me this is not very good. Primal Bond is a better exclusive. We run max out Primal Spirit. On top of that is permanent. This deals extremely amount of damage. Necro tree is a little bit complicated. We run max out Spectral Binding for the life pool. And a little bit offensive ability so I can hit basically my Resistance Shred on a Solar Flame and my Bone Harvest. I don't need to crit, I just need to hit my stuff. Max out Skeletons 3, they die pretty often. Not all the time, but some Nemesis and stuff kills them pretty easy. Soft Cap on Omen for reduce damage on the enemies. 1 point Call of the Grave. This is a nice buff, also comes with a crit damage from my weapon. And 1 point Mark of Torment. Basically, if I took the aggro, I immediately put that on. Max out Soul Harvest. This is buffs to our pet. And all the cold damage convert to chaos and all the vitality damage as well. So it's a pretty nice buff. And this is the skill tree, Devotion tree. It's pretty defensive one. Unfortunately, as I said, we play Ritualist, so I have to pick pretty defensive tree around Ulu, Ishtak, and Giant. This is the core setup. Of course, we have Dying God, best in slot on a Chaos setup. Of course, we run high regen build, so I don't care about the health per second. This can't kill us. Sometimes affect the pet a little bit, but damage is most important thing. So we got Chaos Resistant Shred on the Solar Witchblade, this obvious choice, and the rest is just fillers. This is pretty much the tree. And how we play the setup. I'm gonna grab some keys. We keep all the pets, all the buffs. One desecrated. What consumables we use? Basically I use this one. This is Wrath of the Beast tincture. These are rovers, pretty cheap. You can press this every 30 seconds. Comes with tons of all damage and crit damage to pets. Absolutely must have on your bar. Build looks piano, but it doesn't. Some of these I don't press them that often. For example, I press Primal Spirit 1 in a 30 seconds. I spam basically Bone Harvest. I press this in every 20 seconds, this in every 30 seconds, so I don't mash keys usually. So the most active buttons is my right click, my Solar Flame from this component. This is a must have, comes with -15. This is pretty huge just on a component. And basically I press every 4 or 5 seconds Omen. But let's see the build in action. This build is a naturally farmer, it's not a boss killer. If you look for a boss killer, probably this is not the build for you. Still can take down most of the bosses. Pretty slow and kinda dangerous. I'm gonna pop up some farmer just in case for offensive, defensive ability and life. Build is a pretty aggressive. I am pretty tanky, so I can go inside every group without any damage to myself. I run tons of absorption, as you can see on my bar. On top of that I have Primal Bond. Damage is quite high. Pets destroys everything. You just have to pay attention to keep your buffs up. As I said, this is a farmer. Usually I farm with this one Shattered Realm 15 without any problems. I farm Boundless Dungeon 12 with single Nemesis because pets die very easily in a upper Boundless like 15. Sometimes pretty rippy as well, so Chase is pretty easy on this build. Completely face tankable. Pet's gonna take care of him. Skeletons, they actually Chase is not, can't kill them. There is a few nemesis that completely obliterate skeletons, but Chase is not one of them. So very good first spawn. This boss over here, I'm gonna summon all of them together. And he gets obliterated. Pets runs tons of offensive ability, so they crit pretty often, as you can see. You have to watch out for your skeletons. We summon Fabius. Fabius is a little bit hard, I would say, to deal with. But usually he's not so problematic. I can he focus my character instead of the summons. So I immediately pop up my Mark of Torment. He is completely face tankable, no problem at all. Just be careful, sometimes he dish out tons of damage. But as you can see, he's pretty much dead. I'm gonna resummon Briar Thorn, my skeletons as well. I'm gonna keep them in a proper number. As you can see, extremely cheap build. No crazy corruptions, no crazy rolls. Gear is pretty affordable. Two of the pieces, basically this and this one, is a craftables. This is a target farm, this is a target farm. This drops pretty often, is an epic belt. I have like 20 of these pants, 20 of this armor, 20 of these gloves. I have like 3 or 4, this is kinda rare boots, and I have 5 or 6 of this. I have 5 or 6 tomes, so pretty not some crazy gear that requires you to farm like ages. How I level this build? I level as a typical Ritualist, skeletons, and Briarthorn, nothing crazy. Damage was okay. Somebody dies at magma golems. People never learn. You have to avoid the volcanoes at any cost. This guy is gonna get deleted immediately. We're gonna click few corpses. In terms of speed, not the fastest farmer, obviously, but still not the slowest. I'll say a little bit top of the middle. If you stick to the objective, he's pretty okay. But he's a very secure as a hardcore character. It's impossible to die, just you have to mess it up really bad to die on this character. Even me, I'm one of the worst pet players in the world. Just it's not my playstyle. And I still alive. This is like a month-old build. Just I was paused this to finish another project, but I decided to give it a shot and finalize the build. And actually I'm quite happy because Primal Spirit can hit for up to 500k, which is serious amount of damage from a single pet, and on top of that is permanent. Also build is tons of fun, at least for me. I like skeletons. Some people think I'm a necromancer hater, but I'm not. Just necromancer in Grim Dawn is a little bit bad. We lost some skeletons. Unfortunately, this is a damage pool water, and they can't deal very well with this type of fields. This is Derivius, another tricky one, but basically pets deals pretty well. This is his man here as well. He's gonna be a little bit tanky, but that's pretty normal. This slum is very dangerous, try to avoid it. Easy peasy. The most scary nemesis for these ones, it's very funny, but it's Lucia. I don't know how, but she obliterates all the pets. And usually my other builds, they don't have any single problem with her, but probably pets struggle. Also Perena is very, or Perina, I don't know how it's the right pronounce, but she's very dangerous as well. Talar is absolutely, just don't get hit by multiple of those, and he's very easy as well. Completely face tankable. I just walk out from some stuff. Okay, Rallio to Utus. This was a very profitable chest. And here is Lucia. I don't know how she did it, but she kills them pretty easily, especially the skeletons. Of course, I changed something in the setup. Now they are a little bit more tankier, but skeleton still dies. As you can see, we lost like 10 skeletons in the whole battle, so I don't know how she do it. Actually, I forgot to click the chest. This is gonna be minus some rare essences. Don't do that. Unfortunately, she runs out of the spawning point, and I don't really remember where it is. Actually, I can miss. This was a pretty bad roll. Let's move forward. Always look for a chest in the vault. And this is the next nightmare for me. This is Perina, whatever. This lady is very dangerous. You have to kill her pretty fast. Otherwise she gonna make a lot of problems to the pets. We start to lose skeletons already. Briar Thorn and Primal Spirit usually stunky enough. But skeletons, they can't sustain the fire pulse and the Aegis of Menhir, so this is a pretty rippy boss for them. But better skeletons than me, so... And the main damage comes from Primal Spirit and Briar Thorn anyways. Of course, skeletons, they dish out serious amount when in pack. As you can see, 2 mini bosses get completely wrecked. I managed to kill Ravager. Unfortunately, it's a kiting fest. Me running away, resummon pets. And it was like 6-7 minutes battle, which is pretty slow. That's why I consider this as a non-boss killer. There is some heroes that completely delete my skeletons as well. But this is not the worst, because usually they die pretty quick, so I can resummon them between the fights. So it's not big loss. It's a big loss when I fight bosses, nemesis and that kind of stuff. But usually even in Shattered Realm 15, skeletons sustain pretty well. For most part, even the boss rooms. And I'm surprised. But some nemesis, they are just pretty hard hitters. Like Perina and Lucia. And sometimes this Conjurer managed to kill a lot of my skeletons as well. Long Kai is quite annoying because he spams confusion on my pets, so they scatter away instead of doing damage. But he doesn't have enough damage to kill them, so he just basically crowd control them for the most fight. Always pay attention to resummon your Primal Spirit. Another guy died. If you get the aggro, just press Mark of Torment and you're gonna be fine. Usually I run to close to 28k life pool, nice chunk of armor and very good defensive ability. So it's completely impossible for me to die here. This Conjurer. He is completely face tankable. He's gonna delete the skeletons. Sometimes I get the aggro. But usually he's not bursty enough to kill me. And usually my Briarthorn retrieve the aggro pretty fast. Gothic, this is another easy one for this build. He's gonna obliterate the skeletons, but not enough damage to kill my main pets. Be careful with Trixie. If you get Arcane, this is a pretty bad. I'm so tanky thanks to the auras and passives and the absorbs. This is one of the ways you can die easily if you get Arcaned. This is Lonka, as I said, he spams Confusion, but he's face tankable, not so dangerous. He managed to kill a few skeletons, but that's affordable loss. We miss some orb. Via Essence, this is a quite good one. Okay, let's finish this. I got distracted by the chat, I'm sorry. Some good stuff in the chest. This is the build pretty much. I use it for farming mostly. It's not a boss killer. Can't do most of the bosses. Very slow, very tedious, very kinda scuffed as well. And it was planned to do bosses anyways. My idea was completely different. I'm gonna save some of this stuff. But in general, this is the build. This is the gear. This is how it performs. I'm quite happy with the result. It's not the most strongest pets built in the world, but still quite fun, very durable, practically unkillable on the content that I play. So I'm quite happy with the result. Thank you everyone for watching. See you in the next one.